I used to absolutely hate hitting 3-wood, but now I love it. And the reason being is I learnt the concepts, I changed my technique in order to help me hit this club out of any situation. Now I'm going to take you through this exact same process that I went through. So let's start by running through the concepts first. We're going to run through 2 key concepts. Now I'm going to assume for right now we're talking about hitting a 3-wood off the ground. So the first key is angle of attack. Now how is this club traveling as it hits the ball? Is it traveling on the way down? Is it traveling very level or on the way up? Now here's the thing. Any golf shot that is hit off the ground has to be hit with a descending blow of some kind. So if it's a wedge, it's obviously going to be a lot steeper, so we're going to be hitting down on it a lot more, versus a 3-wood, it might be a little bit shallower, but it's still going to be slightly descending on the ball. So anywhere from -1 degrees to -3 degrees. So we're still hitting down. That's why if you look at a player like Sergio Garcia, who's on sort of the steeper end of the spectrum, he will actually take a small divot with a 3-wood, especially when it's wet, because he is hitting down on it. We have to do this in order to compress the ball. But also this helps us with the second point, which is strike location. So the key concept we have to understand is, where are we trying to hit this ball in the face? Well, if we are doing what most amateurs are doing and treating this sort of like a driver, they are going to be trying to help that ball up. Well, as soon as I try and help the ball up, my strike location is going to go very, very low in the face. This is going to promote that sort of a low skimmer, maybe even a top shot, or potentially that shot that just spins way too much and it just goes everywhere. So if we're actually trying to hit down on the ball, part of the reason for this is so that we can hit it higher in the face. If we hit it higher in the face, we're going to get a better launch. We're also going to find that the spin rates are going to be a lot more predictable. So the 2 key concepts are, number 1, we are trying to hit slightly down on this golf ball. And number 2 is that when we do that, we want to see the strike location move higher in the face. Now let's run through the setup and very much start from the very, very beginning. So the first thing is stance width. The 3-wood is the second longest shaft in our bag behind the driver, which means we are going to need to have a relatively wide stance. So what my reference guide is, and this is a fantastic guide for you, is to go edges of the shoulders, line up with the inside parts of the ankle. That's going to put you in a nice position to where you have a good wide stance to help support this club head speed, but also you're going to be able to shift, rotate, do everything from this position. Number 2 is, where do we want to position our weight? Well, because we are trying to have that slight descending blow on the ball, I like players just to favor a little bit more weight on the lead leg. Now again, don't go too crazy. We're talking maybe 55 to 60% of the weight on that lead leg. And again, this is just going to help us promote that descending blow that is absolutely crucial to have with a 3-wood. Then from there, we want to make sure that we have a good amount of tilt. Now I see so many golfers go wrong with tilts with 3-woods. They go, well, I want to hit down on it, so what do? They push their spine so it leans towards the target. This just creates a situation to where you want to then swing over the top. We don't want to be seeing that. So because the right hand, the trail hand, is lower on the club than the left, we always have to have a little bit of spine tilt away. So the easiest way to think of this is just to have this right shoulder slightly lower than the left and the right hip slightly lower than the left. Just a little bit right there, nothing too crazy. And you can see if I draw a line straight down from the center of my chest down through the belt buckle, how my golf club is pointing just forwards and middle. If you do this and it's pointing back, you know you haven't gotten enough tilt, so you need to push the hips forwards, get into that position right there. Now, the big one, and this is really the big one, ball position. This is the one loads of people get wrong. So the first thing that I want you to do is not use your feet as the reference guide. I want you to use the upper body. So I see so many golfers place the ball way too far forwards. And if I place it like this, you can see how it's pretty much under my left shoulder, maybe just outside of it. Now the reason why I want you to use the upper body is what controls low point. So the lead side of our body, roughly underneath my left armpit, left shoulder joint, is going to be the lowest point of my swing. Reason being is this is what is rotating open. It drags the low point forward, so it's going to roughly be underneath the left shoulder, left armpit. So if that's the lowest point of our swing, we want to hit slightly down on it. So we need that low point to be ahead of the golf ball. So at address, as a really simple guide, I would love to see the ball be positioned anywhere. If I had a logo on my left pec muscle, underneath the logo or underneath my lead ear. Somewhere in this region is going to be the perfect spot for that ball to be positioned. So then from there, that's going to set us up for that slight descending blow. So the final part is in the shaft lean at address. What do we want to be seeing? Well, the last thing we want to be seeing is the hands back, because that is going to promote sort of this upward strike. I would rather you have the hands level to a little bit of shaft lean. Again, that is going to promote that slightly descending blow on the ball, which is going to match the concepts that we are trying to see. So let's now run through some fantastic swing thoughts that are going to allow us to be successful with the 3-wood. Now, the first thing that I actually want to get across is you're allowed to hit this hard. I see so many people get scared of hitting 3-wood hard. They go, oh, it's going to go further offline. And as long as your rhythm and your tempo is smooth, so what I mean by that is that if you swing and it's in a constant sort of rhythm like this, you're absolutely fine. You can hit it as hard as you want. Ultimately, watch Rory McIlroy. He is hitting that golf ball hard. He's not holding back on it. But the great thing is his tempo, his rhythm is so smooth. There's no sort of jolting and reacting. I see so many amateurs, they'll go slow, 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 and then poof, they'll try and put on the speed. They'll snap their chest, they'll swing over the top, it goes all over the place. The second thing, and this is a crucial one, is I actually want you to focus on trying to take a divot. This is my swing thought, and this is the thing that has changed it massively for me. So if I have that emphasis of trying to take a little bit of a divot after the golf ball, I'm going to get that angle of attack working downwards. It's going to stop me from sort of popping out of the shot and falling backwards. Now here's the thing, because this sole is so wide, you might not actually take a divot, but it's that intent of hitting down on it that's going to allow you to get that strike location higher in the face and ultimately get you into a good position. Now, how can we train this? Well, what I want you to do, if I can find the tee, is replace this golf ball for a tee. Now, I just want you to pop it, just lie it down just like that, just so like the tee is kind of pointing away from you right there. Now, the reason being is this is sort of going to hone in your focus. So I want you to be able to hit this shot, hit this 3-wood, and be able to sweep that tee off the ground. If you do a swing that looks like this, you know you've sort of held back and you've tried to help the ball up in the air. I want you to be able to make a swing as to where you're trying to feel like that divot is happening after the ball so you can hit that tee. Let me show you what that should look like right here. So as you can see right there, I've hit that tee, I've got it into a good position, I felt that descending blow. Now it's time to grab the ball, place it back down, and let's give it a hit. And again, my focus here is trying to take a divot. That's the thought that I'm gonna have. I wanna be feeling like I'm hitting down on it, getting that strike location nice and high in the face. That's gonna produce a good launch. So let's get into that good position. My concepts are right, my setup's in a good spot. Now from here, I'm just gonna focus on trying to take that divot as I hit this golf shot. So now let's talk about hitting a 3-wood off the tee. And the first thing I want to go through is the change in ball flight. So we're going to see a couple of minor differences. First thing is we're going to see a little bit of a higher launch angle. Why? Because when we tee it up, we can go a little bit shallower, but it's also going to promote a higher strike location in the club face. This is going to result in a little bit of a higher launch right there. Now, as well as this, because that strike location is going to raise higher, we might see a little bit less spin. So couple a higher launch with a little bit less spin, we would expect to see that a 3-wood off the tee might carry a good 5 to 10 yards further than a 3-wood off the ground. So that's something just to bear in mind. Maybe if you're hitting it on a par 3 or on a par 4 and you're trying to figure out how far this is going to go relative to bunkers and stuff like that, just be aware that it will go slightly further when you are hitting it off a tee. Now here's the thing, you have a couple of options you can do when hitting it off the tee. For me personally, I like to keep things relatively the same. So I'm going to tee the ball up roughly so about half the golf ball is above the top edge of the crown. Now from there, I will keep everything the same. So I'll have my same ball position, same weight, same shaft lean, all of these things. Still feel like I'm trying to take that little mini bit of a divot. And to be honest, I'm just going to find that there's a lot more margin for error. However, some people do like to feel like they get a little bit shallower with this. If that's you, the two adjustments I want you to make are, number one, you can move your ball position slightly further forwards, and number two, you can have just a little bit more even weight, so 50-50. So let me demonstrate what that one would look like, as that is sort of the slight differences to hitting it off the ground. So in this situation, rather than have it underneath the left ear or the logo, I'm going to have it a little bit more underneath the lead armpit. And then from there, I'm gonna have my weight a little bit more even. It's gonna feel a little bit more sweepy. So rather than hitting big time down on it, I'm gonna be hitting very much level with this golf ball. It's definitely gonna go higher. Spin rate is more than likely gonna drop, but let's give it a go and let's see if that happens as I do this shot. Yeah, that's definitely flown higher, definitely got a lot less spin, and that's probably carried at least 10 yards further, maybe a little bit more. So just be aware of those differences when we are hitting a 3-wood off the ground versus off the tee. So the final piece of advice that I have, if you're looking to be great with your 3-wood, which is so important to be great with it, it's a very versatile club, is to get custom fit. Now, if you're here in the UK or you're traveling over to the UK and you want the best fitting experience, use the guys that I use. They are absolute masters. They are the best in the business here in the UK. They are called Gatwick Golf. I'll leave the link down in the description, so be sure to check them out. They fitted me for this. I used to hate 3-woods, and now I absolutely love this thing, and it's become my new best friend. Now, if you need a little bit more one-to-one help with your game, whether it is with the 3-wood or any other club or any other part of your game, then I offer online coaching, so you can get a lesson with myself no matter where you are in the world. So be sure to check that out. The link is going to be down in the description. If you have enjoyed today's video, please give it a like and subscribe, and I hope to see you back here soon.